Hi, this is Stacia, and I'm going to show a game that I played on chess.com. Um, so RalphAbrahamMuronzi, rated 1554, played the white pieces against me, MidnasLament, rated 1555, with the black pieces. And the opening is a Scandinavian, and we got a queen a5 mainline. And so I'll just go through this sort of quickly since it's all theory. All right, and this is the first move out of book, so the move d3. In the Scandinavian, it's much stronger to play d4. You don't have an e-pawn, so you want to put your d-pawn in the center, and then later this allows you to play knight e5 like this. So this is a little inaccurate out of the opening. So I develop queen d2. Also, I don't see this very much. Almost always the bishop will come here and threaten discoveries. But in this case, if he threatens a discovery, I'll just trade queens. And that actually does happen. So here, bishop f5. The idea here is you want to play e6, so just developing outside the pawn chain. Okay, now he is offering a queen trade. I thought about playing queen c7, but I think the problem with this move is that after queen c7, he can still double my pawns. So I thought it was best not to let him do that. Also, he has to play accurately here, or he's going to lose a pawn on e4. But he does. He pulled his knight back. And so we have a queenless game now, but still pretty attacking, surprisingly, as you'll see. All right, so knight b to d7, developing, and now I'm ready to castle queenside if I want to. This is surprising. He decided to Fianchetto on the queenside. So e6, c6. This is a very solid pawn setup that you will see in the Scandinavian and that I really like to play. So, all right, so he Fianchettos, bishop e7. All right, and with this move, he wants to keep my pieces out of the square, but also he's threatening g5 because my bishop really won't have anywhere to go, I don't think. So I created an escape square, and then he castled queenside. So pretty surprising. Now without the queens, I was thinking these attacks can't be quite as brutal as usual, but it seemed clear to me that because b3 was played, I have this clear plan of a4, a5 with the rook behind it. And he has a clear plan over here of g4, g5. So that is exactly what happened. Pulled the bishop back. And now g5. Here I was considering moving the knight away. But I think after... I think this would be a mistake. Yeah, and the computer agrees because g takes here, and now my pawns are fractured, and I think this is a worse way for me to play. I don't know that there's any real benefit to gaining the g file here. So, yeah, and actually, it's worse than that, right? Because I just realized this pawn is pinned to my rook. So, yeah, this would happen. That would have been terrible. So I didn't play that way, which I'm happy about. Instead, I took with the pawn. And now I'm even happier than usual that my bishop's still here. And I didn't mind his knight coming in because I have discoveries on the knight. And also, I mean, he can take my bishop. But I moved ahead with my attack. So a4. He did trade the bishop off. Now this was a little uncomfortable because ideally you want to take with the knight. But as you can see, this would happen. And this isn't horrible, but I'd say white's better here. So instead I took back with the rook. And this defends that pawn. But now it's not really clear where my king's going to go. So there is an answer of where the king should go in this position. at least according to the engine. And I know this can vary on white's moves, but what do you think the best plan is for black's king? Would you castle queenside? Would you move the bishop and plant him here? So that question will get answered, so keep that in your mind. All right, bishop g2. I didn't think that was a particularly good move. Yeah, actually the computer wants bishop e2. It's only slightly better though. I was just thinking, I don't know that the bishop's doing much. Can't really. It's kind of aimed at a brick wall here. Although then again, it does stop me from playing this move, b5. So maybe that was the idea. Okay, and here, so I got the take, and I entirely expected him to take with the a pawn because his bishop is controlling the square, this a1 square. So it's not like I can get my rook in there. But instead, he took with the c pawn, and I think this was a big mistake. Yeah, the engine agrees. The reason being, his a pawn is hanging, so I'm going to win a pawn now. Also, he opened up the file in front of with his king on it, so he opened up the c file. He created a pawn weakness on d3 here as well, so that's something I could target. So I was very happy to see this move. And of course, I grabbed the pawn, and he played king c2, which king b1 is probably better, because then I would have to move my rook. All right, but he played this move. And now I was thinking, okay, I'm like the worst attacker ever, which you'll probably guess if you watch my videos at all. But I decided to play knight d5 and threaten this check. And then I was also considering things like rook h5 and maybe bring the rook over to like this square or this square. I never do play that, but the engine says that was good. So I should have done that. All right, so he played rook a1. I had a feeling he would. So now knight b4 check, and the king moves. Okay, and so I played a bad move in this position. I looked at this for a little bit, but I was kind of down on time. So notice that the bishop is defending the knight here. I really wanted to play this move, bishop f6 check. I thought that would be strong, but I failed to see that I can in fact play this move, and the computer agrees this is just really good for black. So if he takes now, I can take with the rook, and we have this discovery on the rook, and I'm also threatening the knight. So this just looks really uncomfortable for white, and they do have this check though. But the other advantage of this move is I created this little cubby hole for the king. So, and the computer says black's winning now. So this would have been very nice. So I'm threatening to take the knight now. He would have to do something like this. Now I could grab that pawn. Yeah, grabbing this pawn's fine. All right, so that's an interesting variation. So I did not play bishop f6. I played a lame move. Yeah, so when he played this, I wasn't sure what to do. There's other good moves here as well. And if you were black, what would you play? So there's bishop f6, but there's two other good moves here that can be played. Yeah, and so rook h5, like I was planning on earlier, that's strong here, as well as knight e5. And I'm not sure what the idea of that is, other than to maybe target this pawn. Maybe that would be good. Yeah, and then once you're here, this actually looks pretty menacing. There's probably forks. Okay, so that's a lot of arrows, sorry. So, and now think of the lamest move. That's what I played. Trade the rooks. Knight d5 check. Also not very strong. And here's where I missed the idea of what I should do with my king. So the computer actually suggests the move king d8 here. And I think it's interesting why, because this pawn is loose and my king needs shelter. So the idea is to go to c7, and so like if white were to check here, so I'll go here, check, and now king c7. And the rook's almost misplaced here because this rook's defended, all these squares are defended. He could come in here or here, but I don't know that it's as much of a threat as it ends up being. Let me put it that way. All right, so I played knight d5 check, king c2. Yeah, now king d8 is the move. But I played bishop f6. So I was trying to create a square for my king. But there's a big flaw. There's a big flaw with this, which, can you see what the problem is with putting my king on this square? Yeah, I'm asking myself for trouble. There's rook check, there's bishop check once I get up there. And so I'm a little sad that I missed this during the game. Yep, so this happens. Now c5 is forced, and now my pawn is pinned to my king, so that's no fun. And in comes the knight, and this is pretty scary now, right? Because he's putting pressure on me. I found this move, bishop d4, which is a strong move. It's probably the best way. The bishop's sort of permanent here. Another disadvantage of having that isolated pawn is now it's a great permanent outpost here. So rook a7, and yeah, I make another mistake here. Black's still slightly better in this position just because we're up a pawn. Slightly better, a better pawn structure too. Although white has the two bishops. So I played the move b5. And I was thinking I wanted to play this, but again, this square is so tender. I should have played the move b6 to stop threats on that square. But since I didn't, I played this. Now we're going to get to an interesting scenario here. All right, so it's white to move and win. And I'll break it down for you a little. Basically, you want to take on this square, but do you want to take with the bishop or the knight? One of them is okay, and one of them pretty much wins a piece. Okay, and in the game, I lucked out because my opponent played knight takes, which is actually incorrect. In this variation, I can play bishop takes c5, bishop check. Notice the knight is pinned, so I cannot take back. But then I do have the move king d8. So I'm not losing a piece in this scenario. But let's go back now. After b5, if you take with the bishop, this is totally different because bishop takes c5. Remember, this knight is pinned still. Knight takes c5. And now this gets really ugly because, all right, it looks like I can play this and solidify my knight. But then he can take here, take back, and perhaps you saw this. Bishop c6, exclam, and now my knight's going to drop. It's pinned. I cannot defend it again. So, yeah, the best move is this. And I'm just going to be losing after this. So, luckily, I'm sad I didn't see that. This whole idea of putting my king here was a mistake. So I do regret that. All right. So he checked me. And this is forced again. It's the only move. And the computer says it's even now. All right, so here he's attacking my b pawn, kind of tie my rook down. And I saw this move e5, which I thought was annoying for him, but he can take here, which he did, because now you can take back this way. I was kind of happy to see pieces disappearing off the board, though, to be honest, because my king was definitely weak. But now I was feeling a little better about it, and I was able to snatch that pawn. Then he checked me. I played king d6. Might as well get my king active now, because it's the endgame. Bishop takes f7, and this is just like a pawn munching fest. So I took here. And he took here. And now there's a big threat in the position. And I played the move. Notice he's attacking my pawn, and I played the move b4. And again, it's white to move and win. Oh, I put an arrow there. Yeah. This would actually win the game as well, because now my knight is double attacked. So this is a skewer, basically. And after something like this, yeah, that's not good. So I really got to be watching out for these tactics. But my opponent missed it too, so I don't feel that bad. All right, and now the computer says this is a draw. I wanted to march my king up, but then it didn't seem like I really could. I wonder if the computer says to keep marching. No, it says come back to b6. All right, so. All right, and now, so now I made a tough decision. I felt like maybe a draw was a fair result. So I went for this move, rook c3 check. Turns out it is the best move, according to the engine. And after he takes, he does have this pass pawn. But my idea was that I have a knight, and I'm going to sacrifice my knight for the pawn, and then it will be a draw, because a king and a bishop cannot mate a king. So we shuffled around a bit, and I had 20 seconds left. But it was 10-second increments, so that's really plenty of time to play a position like this. You just have to make sure you don't lose immediately. All right, but here I figured out my strategy, which to hold this draw, I think a good way to do it. I mean, you can always hold the queening square, but in this case, I thought b6 was even a little better. So my idea was to control the b6 square with my knight and put my king here. Mind you, the king has to be on a dark square because he has a light square bishop. And now I'm going to control b6 with my knight and my king, and then he'll never be able to proceed. So here I blockaded. His king went this way, and now king c7. And we're in position, so I don't see how he ever gets his pawn to b6. I'm going to hop my knight to various squares, like here, here. I could even go here if needed. If the king comes down, I can go here to c4. And if the bishop, I don't think the bishop can ever take away all these knight squares. So like imagine the bishop comes to here. Even from there, he can control these light squares, but he cannot control these two. So my knight will always have a place to go. The king cannot control both of them either. Yeah, now I just was going to shuffle back and forth forever. And my opponent, I offered him a draw like a few moves earlier, and he declined it. And then in this position, he resigned. So yeah, make sure you hit the right button. I'm not sure if he just hit the wrong button or if he thought he was lost for some reason, but this is in fact a draw. And if anything, he could have just pushed his pawn. and this is a draw. There's nothing anybody could do. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the game. Definitely some big lessons in the middle game, especially just looking at tactics. And I had problems with king safety as well. So, yeah, just going through to summarize briefly. Yeah, this d3 move is not very strong in the Scandi. You want to just go ahead and push in the center with d4. I don't think this queen trade is strong for white either. So in the Scandi, you always have to watch out for the bishop hunt. So you end up playing h6 a lot, creating that escape square. Okay, and here we go. Opposite side castling. So this a4, a5 plan was computer approved. It's a good way to proceed. So white made a huge mistake taking this way. Yeah, and then here I could have found a better way to proceed with the attack. This is probably, this move right here, rook takes, is a bailout move, and I just don't have enough to get the win. So yeah, bishop f6 would have likely resulted in a win. So I'd say this was the critical position, and often you have that in chess. So this is move 21. A problem I have, and let me know if you have this problem as well, is my time management. So this is a 15-10 standard game, right? By the time I'm at move 20, I'm often sort of in time pressure. I usually have like 5 or 7 minutes left. And that's part of the reason that I ended up just playing rook takes here. But in reality, I should be spending less time on the non-critical moves and more time in a position like this, where this is a critical position. Bishop f6 check results in minus 3.4, favoring black. Rook h5 results in minus 2.3. Knight e5 is minus 2.2. But this rook move, yeah, after this, black's only minus 1.4. So this is a very weak continuation. And so yeah, hopefully this will teach me to manage my time better so I can invest time in a position like this. But I am pretty pleased with the result. Well, I don't really like that I got rating points for it. But I was pleased with the draw since I was clearly worse later on. And at least I found the right defensive moves. Aside from putting my king on the wrong square. So I forget where that was. Yeah, this whole thing. Yeah, really the king should have gone this direction. So that's something I'm going to keep in mind for future games as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any comments, advice, or if you're a lower rated player and this helped you, let me know, because I'd like these videos to serve everyone, really. All right, thanks so much. Bye.